So Faisal is the #1 best-selling REMAX agent in Canada. He was turned down at age 18 for a real estate position because of his age, and then immediately went and signed somewhere else the same day, going on to sell over $2 million in his first 2 months of his career. He's won every major award offered by the REMAX network, selling over $2.6 billion in property, that's with a B, and earning over $30 million in commissions. He's a philanthropist, community leader, venture capitalist, traveler, investor, developer, entrepreneur, speaker, father of 2, and even an author, which his book, The Real Deal, will be appearing in early 2020. I think we should just call you The Real Deal. I like that. So if you guys would join me in welcoming Faisal Susiwala. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kate. And thank you all for being here early this morning. I know it's early for realtors. I'm usually not in the office this early, but good on all of you to be here this morning. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah, okay, great. So as Kate mentioned, I started my career at the very early age of 18 years old. And at that time, it was very tough being a young person. You know, I'm only 10 years older than that now, right? But no, actually 31 years in the business now. So I'm going to be 50 very, very soon. So my career started at 18. I was still in high school. So it was late night television. Some of you may recall the name Tom Vu. Do you guys remember who Tom Vu was? Late night television? There's got to be somebody in here. No? No? Okay. Oh, we got one. Okay, great. So Tom Vu was a immigrant Vietnamese, and I see this man on late night television. I was around 17 years old, and he's sitting on the back of a yacht, right? You remember that? He's sitting on the back of a yacht with beautiful women in bikinis surrounding him. And I'm like, I want to be that guy. So here I am trying to learn a little bit about real estate, saying, how did this guy end up having all these homes and mansions and Rolls Royces, and what is he doing? And of course, the catalyst for his wealth was real estate and real estate investment. Now, his course was very expensive, so I thought, okay, that's not going to work for me. I'm going to learn a little bit about real estate, so maybe I can just, take a course, do something. Now, I was 17 at the time, just in grade 12, graduating soon. So I thought I'll go to the community college and learn a little bit about real estate and investing and whatnot, which, unbeknownst to me, led to licensing. So here I am in high school at 18 years old, able to get a license. However, I couldn't get someone to license me because of my age. I was still in school. Part-time agents it was just not a thing back then. And so I talked to one of my friends in high school whose dad owned a local Century 21. And he said, Faisal, why don't you go and talk to my dad and see if he'll license you? Well, at that time, I didn't have a car. I walked downtown to the city of Cambridge where I live and asked Mr. Watson if he would consider licensing me. Mr. Watson was great, but Mr. Peace wasn't. He said, no, you're too young. Go back to school in 3 or 4 years, come back, and we'll consider talking to you then. So as I'm waiting for the bus at the terminal, I remember that my father had a gentleman that he had worked with by the name of Reed Maneri. Now, Reed was 72 years old. I was 18, and I thought, well, I wonder if Reed will remember me. So while I'm waiting for the bus, I go across the street, and Cambridge is a very small town. Population now is 130,000, which I believe is very similar to yours. Went up to the second floor of the Royal Trust Bank building and asked Mr. Maneri if he remembered my father, and which he did, from years ago. And I said, look, I've got my license, or I've got my paperwork now I'd like to get licensed. Is there an opportunity here where you would give me a chance and take me on? He said, well, I'm 72, I'm ready to retire, but you know what, I'll stay open for a few more months and I will take you on. So lucky for me, Mr. Maneri became my mentor. He licensed me, and he actually stayed open for a year. Now, the first month that I got into the business, of course, you tell everybody, hey, I'm a realtor, this is what I'm doing. I happened to be at an event, a dinner event, and I met some people, and they were from South Africa. They were looking to invest some money in Canada. They were trying to get the money out of South Africa. They were already in England. And I thought, well, I'll give my business card. That's what we do, right? As realtors, we give our business card and say, give me a call. They were just intrigued that this kid was trying to hustle them for some business. So on the Monday, I get a call saying, okay, We're going to be down in your area, have some properties to show us. Of course, I had nothing. I had no listings. I had no idea. I was still in school part-time. So I asked Mr. Maneri, what am I going to sell these people? So he shows me some multiplexes and that type of thing. So what ended up happening was they came down. They ended up spending quite a bit of time with me that week and ended up buying a bunch of real estate through me. So I was very young, so I had to grow a mustache. So that's me. So I figure if real estate doesn't work out, porn will. So I grew a porn mustache. Anyways, in the first 2 months, sorry, is this PG rated here? So in the first 2 months that I was in real estate, I was lucky enough and working hard enough to secure over $2 million worth of sales. And in those days, 31 years ago, $60,000 was a lot of money. And that was my commission back then. So I went home and told mom and dad that, this university thing is not for me. I'm going to stick into real estate. Of course, my parents being first generation immigrants, they're like, no, this is not going to happen. We didn't come to this country for you to drop out of school and get into sales. And of course, everyone was telling me the same thing. It took my mom's uncle, who was a professor of education at Brock University in Niagara Falls, to convince my parents that this kid's making more money than I am. Let him do what he's doing. Now, of course, that was the first year, but that doesn't always last. There's always, ups and downs in our business. There's always recessions, and that's where, the fear starts setting in, and that's what will either make you or break you. Adversity is something that creates strength if you can embrace it. So being, again, 18 years old, in my first year with Mr. Maneri, learning a lot. And one of the most important lessons that I learned from Mr. Maneri was just do the right thing and the money will come. Don't think about the money. And yes, it comes slowly, but it comes in the long term, it comes in loads. And that's what's very important in our business, that integrity means everything, your reputation means everything, and having that sort of interaction with your client where they trust you and they become, we'll talk a little bit about creating advocates and that, but these are all important things that I've learned over my years in the business that have helped me get to where I am today. So you have to know your why. And everybody says, well, know your why. Figuring out how is the most important thing. Now, for me, my whys were, I don't want to be poor anymore. I want to be relevant. I want to be the one. I want to be the one in my industry. I'm in a population of 130,000 people. I want everybody in that town to know me. I want to be associated with real estate. I want to be synonymous with the brand. I want to be synonymous with the industry. So that was very important to me. Making my family secure. My parents, first generation, both factory workers, working very hard. My father had a horrible accident. He lost his right arm. My mom worked day and night to support us. So, going through that phase of life really either makes you or breaks you. My brother and I would get into the back of a strawberry cube van, go and pick strawberries at the age of 12 just to help pay the rent. But these are all things that, one can go through and you can say, well, that's it. This is going to be my life. I'm going to give up and this is what I'm going to, or I'm going to change that. Now, being a young, short, brown man with a funny name does not make it very easy to sell real estate in a city like of Cambridge, where there are not very many immigrants. But what happens is you create a way, you create a need, you create a niche, and then you capture that. And it's about learning from others and implementing and executing. And those are very important things that we have to learn. I wanted to create wealth. I wanted to inspire. I want to give back. So how did I do all of this? The single most important thing in our industry is marketing. It's branding. Congratulations to all of you and me to be with a company that is so well recognized and that has evolved, and it is the one. So we are with the number one brand in the world. There's no question about it. People ask me often, well, you're a brand within yourself. Everybody knows you in your town. But why are you not on your own? Because I don't have the power of worldwide international branding and marketing that REMAX does. So that's, again, very important. So I now have 19 of these buses running around in Cambridge. So I'm the guy in the back of the bus. The little kids think I drive the bus, but that's another story. But what I've done is I've created a situation such as what Coca-Cola did. Coca-Cola does massive marketing, but they don't knock on a door. They don't pick up the phone call and say, hey, buy my pop. So what we're doing is we're doing subliminal marketing, we're doing subconscious marketing, we're doing passive marketing. I have never knocked on a door in my life. I have never cold called in my life. I have done flyer campaigns. I've done all kinds of other campaigns that are not in your face, but are in your face without offending, without interrupting. Nobody wants that door knock at 6 p.m. while they're having supper. We don't appreciate it. Why do we think other people are? And I know that real estate seminars are often around cold calling and the number of hits that you have and the number of contacts that you have made. I'm not saying that that's completely wrong, but one of the things that I learned over the years attending a lot of these seminars is that I was learning from people that used to sell real estate 20 years ago or 10 years ago. Being relevant in real time today, that is the most important thing to learn from. And that's where I say, learn from people that are within your industry, learn from your peers. Don't try to reinvent, imitate. That works. But do it properly, do it all the time with consistency, and execution is the key to that. So what are the important aspects of marketing? Print ads in newspapers and magazines. And at any time, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to interrupt and interrupt me at any time to ask a question. In this room, are we still doing newspapers, magazines, print ads? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Okay. So I got out of all print media about 6 years ago. So I'm completely on social media, billboards, passive marketing that I'm doing. Flyers was a big thing. Direct mail, is that something that we do in this room? So farming area, is that a term that we use here? So farming areas, of course, those are very effective. But again, there is a different way to farm on social media, and we'll talk about that as well. Benches, billboards, these are all, and partnerships with community arenas and that type of thing, shopping malls, having your signage out there. Those are, again, so the types of marketing that I'm doing currently, where are we here? Oh, I'm not sure what happened here. We need Ken to give us some technical support here. There we go. So the other thing that I offer is a program, renovation programs. And again, this is something else that it's not for everyone, but if you're in a position to do it, if you've got a business line of credit, and if you don't, consider getting one. The return we get on a listing can be 3, 4, 5%. So on the average price of a home in my area, it's about $500,000. I believe it's something similar to that here. You gain to earn $25,000 on that. If you can invest up to $25,000 to help your client, and there's different ways of making sure you get your money back and securing your money. But if you're able to invest that money for your client, and that's one of the ads that I have here, is get up to $25,000. And I do this constantly. Somebody needs to put some new flooring in, or painting the house, or sprucing up the bathroom. Loan them the money, get a line of credit. So it's going outside of the box. It's not just that we're listing and we're selling. We're actually creating a need. We're creating a want for why they're going to deal with you. What is that special thing that you're going to do? People have guaranteed sales programs. All kinds of options are available to us. But what we're not doing is we're not investing back into our business. We're not looking at it as a business. And that's what I did very early on. I started thinking, I just don't want the listing and getting the commission. What can I do to enhance that experience for that client? And by contributing, being part of it, becoming a partner in that sale, you're going to get your money back as long as they're not upside down their equity, so you've got to do your due diligence. But you've got the offer, but people don't always have the money kicking around. So I created a line of credit in my earlier days so that I was able to assist people, be it with their down payment, their closing costs, whatever it may be, until such time. But what you're doing is you're creating relationships by doing that. Social media is my #1 marketing tool. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Google, AdWords, you name it, that's everything. That's where the evolution is. That's where our industry is going. And if you're not in it, then you're going to dissolve. I'm a dinosaur in this business. I got into this business when fax machines were technology. So think about how far we have come now. And had I not stayed up with it, and I will not profess to be a techie, I will not profess to be in the know, but I have people who do that. And it's not very expensive. There's a lot of, especially in a college town, there's a lot of kids kicking around that are very tech savvy. Align yourself with people that know what they're doing on social media. Sponsored ads. Are we doing sponsored ads in this room? Is that something that you guys are doing? Yeah. So that's very important. Pay per click. You can target an audience just as we were targeting a postal code by flyers. You can target that same audience through IP addresses on social media. So these are all things to learn and get used to, because that is really the way this market is heading. Organic posts are very important, but don't make it all about business. People want to know who you are, and that's very important. When you're putting yourself out there, it's not about here's the new listing, here's what I just sold. It's all the different things that you do, what you're doing with your family this weekend, local events that you're attending, local sports that are happening, any events that are happening, cover those, talk about those. So what you're doing is creating a following, you're creating an engagement, and then you're creating people that will work with you because they've seen you. Coca-Cola says, your brand has to be seen 11 times before somebody will remember your name. 11 times. So doing an ad campaign for 3 months and saying, well, that didn't work, I'm not going to do that anymore, and giving up, that's not the answer. It's consistency. It's consistency and it's execution. It didn't matter if it was Christmas or if it was Thanksgiving or Easter. I sent out 30,000 flyers every 3 weeks to 30,000 homes. Consistently, without fail, for over 20 years. So people say, well, how are you in a population of 130,000 people and selling 275 homes a year? Because it's consistency. There's going to be the 90-10 rule in our industry is 95-5. Be that 5%. Be the one that people are going to call because you're the one that they see. People want to see that you're spending money, that you're out there, you're doing. And social media, my costs have gone down immensely since social media marketing. Paper and magazine marketing, it doesn't work anymore and it's extremely expensive. So multiple streams of attention lead to multiple streams of revenue. So we're talking about contests. If you're on social media, I give away Blue Jay tickets, Leaf tickets, Raptor tickets. But the way I give those away is I ask people to follow, I ask them to engage, I ask them to comment, tag friends, and you're creating now what you're doing by doing that is you've got a following. Now people are going to land on your page, and once you have a following, you're attached to them, and every time you have something, you're going to start popping up on their screen as well. So you got to have that imagination. You've got to plan for what you're doing, and you have to execute. Execution is where people lack. We all have great ideas, but we put it on the back burner and then we just forget about it. Technology. I mentioned, fax machines were technology back then. Just look at how far we have come. What I can do in a matter of minutes used to take me hours to do or days to do. Faxing, driving back and forth. Everybody's using, is it DocuSign? Is that something that everybody's using? That's the best thing that's ever happened. You have that ability on the palm of your hand to be able to execute offers, listings, everything is done at the tap of a button. So embrace the technology, CRM, contact management. What programs are we using here? Realty Juggler, is that one of the ones that you guys use? Top Producer, is that?
Referral Maker.
Right, okay.
I'm sure some are just using Excel spreadsheets.
Right, yeah, and you know what, for the first 20 years that I was in this business, Microsoft Outlook was the only management system that I had, and I had reminders in them. But there's always other ways, and I find a lot of those are scripted. Don't ever use the scripts. Like customize your presentation, customize your letters, make them a little bit more personal. Marketing budget. People ask me, okay, well, you must be spending crazy amounts of money. Yes, in my earlier years, I was spending up to 35 to 40% of my money back into marketing. And that's a big number to be spending. But if you're building a business, you think about it, if you open up a grocery store or a car dealership or whatever it is, you have to go out there and you have to invest money in buying the inventory. what I chose to do is I invested money in my brand, in my marketing, and I started investing back into that. So it wasn't always, I'm just going to take and never put back. And realtors are known for feast and famine. We're riding high when the commission checks are coming in, and then we're crying for the next 3 months when we've spent all our money. So when you take a little bit of that each check and invest it back into marketing, that's what's going to keep giving you that reciprocal return over the softer months that we're going to come upon. Direct-to-consumer marketing is obviously the number one way of doing it. Lead generation sites, is that a big thing here? Referrals and that type of thing? Be careful with those. When you get a strong social media presence, a strong Google presence, when people Google your name and you've signed up with these lead generation sites, and I have as well, it's interesting what happens. Those lead generation sites are ranked higher on Google searches and whatnot. So your name may be on their site. So they're actually looking for Bill Smith. But instead of getting Bill Smith, because you're on a lead gen site, you automatically get diverted to that site, and now it says so-and-so is looking at your profile on a lead gen site. So be careful on which lead generation site that you're going on, because you're paying 25, 30%, 35% referral back. Is that how it works here? Basically, it's a 25 to 35% referral back. So be very careful on that, because if you've got a strong enough presence, and remember, real estate is very localized. So you're not looking at somebody, hundreds of miles away trying to get onto your site. If you do a local campaign on social media, on Google AdWords, on AdWorks, you can get the same amount of traffic by a small, if you think about it, for $10,000 commission, you're giving up 25%, that's $2,500. $2,500 a month on social media, you'll be the one that owns the market. So just think about where you're spending your money and spend it wisely. Distribution on sponsorships. Local sports teams, make sure your banner's out there, fall fairs, I don't know what events that your local community has, church groups, local schools. If you're putting your investment there, make sure you have your signage there, be present for those events, and create a lot of these events. Charity is very important to me. I've always tried to give back to the community, and that not for the reason of getting business back, but I think it just inadvertently happens because people see that you're giving back, and that's an important factor of being a part of any community where people look as realtors as, oh, you're making all kinds of money and you're doing this and you're doing that. Giving back completely comes back to you. There's no question about that. So being involved in local charities and that is very important. Let's get into the meat of this. So getting the listing. A lot of us, try to get the listing. We advertise, we get the appointment. Now what happens when you get to the door? Remember, you're not there to be their friend, and this is something that people spend. Well, I spent 2 hours there. Well, why are you there for 2 hours? It's got to be efficient. You've got to appear prepared with your material in hand. Have all your tools with you. Be efficient and to the point. When I walk in, first thing I do, and I'm sure most of us do, is shake their hand, walk through the house, understand their mindset right there. What are they? Because if they're already pointing out things that they've put into this home, and they're saying, "Well, I spent $50,000 on this and $75,000," that their expectation is, they're expecting a lot of money. So you've got to sort of look at what their expectations are and start managing their expectations right from the get-go. Show them the facts, because a lot of people know what listing prices are. They don't know what things have been selling for. So be prepared with that. Bring a marketing plan with you. Bring your successes with you. Bring your branding with you. And if you don't have your own successes to show your office successes. I'm sure that that's something that you can share. Homes that you're selling. Is bidding wars a thing here? Does that happen here? Yeah, is it often? Are all offers set up on offer dates, or is it?
Not all of them offer dates, no, but definitely multiple offers are correct.
And is that because you guys set up a date for a multiple offer date, or no? No, it just kind of happens. Okay, so one of the things that I do is every listing I take, I set a date. So, and it's only Monday to Thursday. That's the only days that I will look at an offer. The reason for that is it creates a buzz and it creates confidence. You're coming from a place of confidence. You're saying, I know what I have. I know it's worth at least what I'm asking or more. I'm now going to create a buzz. I'm going to have all my showings from Monday to Monday, but I will only look at offers Monday night to Thursday night. Also because I want to be away Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I don't want to be dealing with offers. Now, it doesn't always work out that way, but I'll show you what happens when it doesn't. When you've got that one little thing that you do that's unique to you, you're going to find that people at first are going to resist it. We all resist change. We all resist that type of thing. Cooperate with agents in higher markets. What's within an hour of your state or college state that is it expensive or is this more expensive? So you guys are more expensive than, okay, so that may or may not work here. So then what we're doing in our region is we're cooperating. Now, do you not have people commuting out of here anywhere, or they're commuting from here?
Maybe some of the Harrisburg or Hershey, which is about an hour and a half away.
Okay, but that wouldn't be a daily commute, I would imagine.
Yeah, sometimes, but not a lot.
Okay, so we're in a market where, you know, we're in Cambridge and we're an hour west of Toronto. Toronto prices are 35 to 40% higher than ours. So I run ads in Milton, Mississauga, Toronto, London, and my ads read drive, depending on where I'm advertising on social media, drive 35 minutes, save $350,000. And it's a click ad. As soon as they click, there's a virtual tour of that house. So it's just, again, creating some unique ways of marketing. I list my listings on the outside boards. So now I'm giving consent and I'm cooperating with agents outside of those boards. Those agents don't need to call me and say, will you cooperate? Will you work with me? Will you pay me a commission? Because I'm already on there. So these are things that I'm sharing with the seller. And when you tell a seller, I'm going to market your home in areas where prices are $350,000 higher, I'm going to get people from out of town who understand value. That's what's going to make them interested. I provide the price that I feel their home is worth without them asking. Old school real estate, well, what do you think your home is worth? You know, I've gone to so many seminars and it's like, you know, feel it out. Yes, I'm feeling out their sort of expectation, but there's no way. I don't want their listing for more than 10 days. My average sale is 13 days from list to sell, 13 days. So I'm not interested in having a long-term relationship with these people. I want, right? So I want to get them the results that they want very quickly, and I want them to tell all their friends that this guy was in and out. And that's what I want. Now, I provide the asking price without them, and I tell them why, but I also outline a strategy. I'm going to get into that in a moment. I provide my fee before they ask. So the commission rate that we charge is 5%. Is that consistent to here, or?
Plus or minus.
Yeah. So 5% is the fee. Now, in our industry, people are charging 3% as well. But if you're going to justify your fee, you better have given them all their information ahead of time. And I provide the fee before they ask, and I tell them exactly how that's distributed. I tell them about the costs that I'm going to incur, the marketing that I'm going to do. That's already, so then there's no question, because I know the person that offered them 3% is going to put up a for sale sign, put it on the local MLS system, and walk away from it. My negotiation strategy, I outline that right up front so they understand, here's what's going to happen. We're going to list your home on Monday. We're going to look at offers next week, Monday at 6 p.m. You have the right to decline any offer at your sole discretion, but we need to list your home at a base price of X, and our expectation is here. So I'm going to create a bidding war situation for your home. You need to work with my strategy in order to get that. I am selling homes on average in our market for anywhere from 3 to 10% above asking price. Very rarely is anything selling for asking. And if I don't get my price, I have a different way of getting that up, and I'm going to talk to you about that. Does anybody here know what NBC means? Does anybody know what ABC means? Always be closing, right? Always be closing. Mine is never be closing. I never close. I never ask somebody to sign. I never ask somebody, well, are you ready to do this? My closing is I start wrapping up. I've given my spiel. I've told them everything that they're going to achieve. I've taken them on this beautiful journey where they're going to sit down with me on Monday night next week, and we're going to have 5 offers, and they're going to get multiple offers, and they get above asking, and they're going to get all this activity and the feedback and everything that they're going to have. And then I'm ready to leave. And I tell them, you'll never hear from me again unless you choose to work with me. I'm going to respect your privacy. Thank you very much for inviting me to your home. 90% of the time, they're like, no, where are you going? Like, let's sign this up. We're ready to go. But I have my listing papers ready, and I have a digital copy on my device. So whether it's right there or then, often I've been 20 minutes out of their driveway and I'm getting a call saying, hey, come back, we're ready to sign. I send them a digital copy and they sign. So these are things that I've learned over time because everyone else is pushing. They're like, okay, I'm ready. I've got the paperwork right here. I have it. I'm just not sharing it with them until they tell me that they're ready to sign up. But when you've given them the positive experience and you've given them the answers that they're looking for, and you're telling them what you're going to do and how you're going to achieve the results or better results than they're expecting, they're going to come to you. So I've disrupted the norm. And what I mean by that is here's a property that I had listed for $625,000. And this is just 3 weeks ago. We set an offer date. Our target on this was $650,000. On offer date, we got $625,000, we got $630,000. Now, my seller's direction reads that the seller has the right to decline any offer at their sole discretion, so they're not legally bound to accepting an offer, and they're not legally bound to paying me a commission if I get them $625,000. On that offer date, we didn't get the results that we wanted. So what did I do? I increased the price to $650,000. Have you guys done this? Do you guys increase prices here? So most people start high, and then they start reducing their price when they don't get the results. Your days on market start increasing. You look desperate. And I say this to the seller. Yeah, we can start at $650 and we can, or $675 expecting to get $650. We'll be on the market for 2 or 3 weeks. We're gonna get feedback that we're too high, or we're gonna get criticized and people are gonna pick at our home because they're seeing homes at $675 that are better value or in better shape than yours is. So if the neighbor's home sold for $650, and the comps show that your home is worth $650, let's list for $625. That's going to create a buzz. Now, if we don't get the results that we want, if we don't get the target price that we want, we're going to increase our price. So the same person that was willing to pay $630, and I said this to the agent that night, and we had a few offers, that tomorrow morning when you wake up, this price of this home will be $650,000. And they're like, oh, that's crazy. Who does that? I do that. Now, I don't do that once or twice. I do that all the time. That home sold the very next day, I don't know if you can see it, in one day for $645,000 to the same buyer that offered $630 the day before. And we were willing to sell it for $640 that day. And again, same thing here. This one was $649,000, and 13 days later, I canceled the listing because we did a 2 week, some of the higher prices, we do a little bit longer for the offering date. I increased the price to $699 and it sold for $675. On offer date, we were getting $650, $660, $670, but we weren't getting the actual number, so we actually increased the price. So in order to get these extraordinary results, you've got to do something extraordinary. And that's why I start low and I go up, because that shows that you come from a place of confidence. You're not worried. You're not concerned that, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able to sell. Again, depending on the market that you're in and what your inventory is, that's where this one was $799, we increased it to $849, sold it for $835. Converting to FSBOs, I got into that a little bit earlier about how I don't knock on doors, I don't cold call, but I show FSBOs, for sale by owners. Do you guys ever show for sale by owners? Yeah? Do you find it's hard to get in there or no? No, yeah. So what I'm doing is, if I'm showing homes anyways, you might as well throw them in, right? You might as well throw them in. And yeah, they can be a pain in the butt to try to get to negotiate your commission and whatnot. But at the end of the day, if they see you often, then they're going to think about you, because we know their success rate is going to be very slow, or very, 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 very low of getting an offer from anybody. I also don't knock on their door. What I will do is I will send them information. I'll courier them or have a package delivered to them on local sales weekly of what's happening in their neighborhood, what just sold, what just got listed, and just giving them some information, giving them some marketing material, showing them what I've been doing in the area. So it's just keeping them engaged. So when they do think about selling with a realtor, they're going to think about getting you in the door. Securing the buyer. So do you guys have buyer's representation agreements, or yes? And at what time do you guys get these things signed? Is it right the first meeting? Yeah. So I know it's encouraged to get it signed at the first meeting, but it goes back to my whole NBC. When you when somebody feels they don't like, my whole thing is let's hold hands before we get married. Let's understand each other. Let's make sure we're okay, because I may not actually want to work with you either, right? So we want to make sure that we're having the same goal in mind here. So the first meeting should not be focused on getting them signed. Give them the information. Start relating to them, bring relevant information, hook them up with the mortgage brokers or the banks or whatever. Be the source of all the updates, government rules changing, incentives that are coming, that type of thing. Help them get qualified. Make sure that they're not, biting off more than they can chew. And you don't want to waste time with somebody that's unable to buy a home when it gets to financing anyways. Take an active interest in their search. So we have automated emails that go out if it meets your criteria. Know your client's needs and look at, we have daily hot sheets. I don't know if that's something you have, but look at those hot sheets, get to them before they actually see it on their email. And this way they know that you're interested. And that's when they're going to want to communicate with you and work with you and sign up with you. So Purple Bricks, everybody know Purple Bricks? Yes, they're out of the U.S. or getting out of the U.S. Yes, we all know that. So it's interesting. So the day that the CEO of Purple Bricks was selling all of his shares on the open market, Dave Liniger, the CEO of REMAX, was buying REMAX shares. So it tells us that we're working for a company that's very confident in what we're doing, and they believe in what we're doing. Otherwise, they would not be buying on the open market. I honestly believe, for as long as I've been in the business, these businesses have come and gone. We're talking about artificial intelligence, AI. It's going to replace us, right? Everything's going to go online. The interesting thing about AI is, if you go back 150 years, people of muscle. You were looking for muscle people for this weekend. Well, people of muscle ruled the world because there were no machines. That changed when machines were invented. People of muscles did not have power anymore. People of muscle are the bouncer outside of the nightclub now. When you look at brain power, yes, I will say there's probably enough information on my BlackBerry here that can write 5 PhDs by the end of the week because the information is available to you. But what's not available to in AI and online and machine learning and automated values and all this is senses. Compassion, relatability. These are all things that will not be replaced. Yes, travel agents got replaced by Expedia and whatever other online. But with real estate, it's still a subjective, emotional, touch and feel type of environment. So, when I hear that, Amazon's going to take over real estate at some point, or Purple Bricks is a great example. iBuyer, is that a big thing here? It's getting there. But again, these are things that the valuation doesn't make sense, and the cost is actually 10%. You're losing 10% on the value of your home. So it's, again, how relevant are they going to be? It's, I believe, a fad. It's going to be there for a little bit, and it will dissolve. But all the more reason for us to be more relevant, be engaged with our client, and be in front, and use the tools that are available, but don't let people depend on the automated stuff that's out there. New home sites. Is there new home developments that are happening in this area? So new home sites, it's a big thing in our region. It's a great way to get 20 or 30 listings. How do you secure a new home site? Show the builder how interested you are. Introduce your people to that. And if you're in a position to invest, if it's a townhome site, invest, and if you can't do it individually, get a group together and buy a unit. Because what you're doing now is you are becoming an ambassador for that site. You're telling the builder, look, I believe in this site so much that I'm going to buy. Now give me 3 blocks to sell to my investors, to my clients. So I've been very successful in doing that and getting people to buy, because people will often say to you, well, where do you invest your money? It's hard to sell somebody on something if you don't actually do it yourself. And so that's, again, a very important way of getting engaged with builder sites. Having skin in the game. Do you have guarantee sales programs here? So guarantee sales program is, I guarantee your home sold in 90 days, otherwise I buy it. The idea there is not to own that house, but you want to give a realistic value. And it's kind of like what iBuyer is doing, right? They're saying, well, we'll give you a guarantee right now, and we'll but you have to be confident in what you're, so put your money where your mouth. When you're telling a seller, don't worry, your house will sell, go ahead and buy that home firm, put your money behind it or put yourself behind it, because that's what you don't want happening is when that house does not sell and they're saying, well, you know, Bill told me my house was going to sell and didn't. He's a schmuck because that's what happened to me. So we don't want that to happen. Bridging the deal. There's often times where people are short some money. If you're in a position to have a line of credit, like think about the cost. The interest cost is so minimal, but if you could bridge the deal for somebody just until they're able to close on the next deal, that's very powerful. And that's what creates a following. That's what creates referrals for you. With investors, if you've got, and I started doing this very early on, every time I would have an investor, I didn't have the money being 18, 19 years old. I would turn my commission back into the investment. But what I'm doing now, I've aligned myself with a group that are investors that have money, that are in a position to buy. Who are they going to deal with? They're going to deal with people that have partnered up with them, that have skin in the game. The art of negotiation. When representing the seller, always set a presentation date. So I don't believe in this, bring me an offer at 11 p.m., give me an irrevocable till midnight and I'll get it done. No, we're setting a date, we're setting a time, always at your office, on your turf. Because when you're in their home, they're taking the call, they're cooking dinner, their kid, their dog, whatever it is, the doorbell's ringing, on your turf, we're doing business. This is the single largest negotiation they're going to do financially. Why would we not have it in a professional environment? Multiple offers and bidding wars. We talked about that. That's so important to set that stage right up front. So yes, we're underpricing, but we're also not committing them to that price. Strategy works. It takes time and you get a lot of pushback on it, but it actually works. When you're representing the buyer, do you guys take your buyers with you for the presentation or do you just sort of email? Okay, so I always have my buyer with me because if there's a change, my buyer is with me. They're in my car, they're in the office, they're sitting at the coffee shop next door, and I present the offer and I say, look, and because I'm in multiple offers a lot, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I understand that maybe this isn't the exact offer that you're looking for. Should you see something that you like better, but via terms or whatever it may be, I try to avoid the price, but whatever terms there are, if you see something better, all I need you to do is sign my offer back for 15 minutes. Sign it back for 15 minutes. That's all I need. And the good news is you've got 6 other offers that have irrevocable till midnight tonight. I'm only asking for 15 minutes. So in that 15 minutes, I'm going to tell you if my buyer is willing to meet your terms. What I've done now is I've created a situation where I never have to go back to my buyer and say, I'm sorry, we lost for $5,000. I'm sorry we lost because your closing date didn't work. Because that seller is going to give me that 15 minutes. I'm not leaving, and yes.
I'm sorry, do you bring your buyer and the seller is there or
No.
the seller's agent?
So I bring my buyer with me. I present to the seller and the seller's.
So the seller is there, the seller and.
The seller is there, but the buyer doesn't meet the seller. Right? But do you have that where you present to the seller? Can you? Always ask. Sorry?
What, you're saying that the buyer is where?
In your car or in the office next door or
In another room.
in another room. So this way you're able to reach them right away. If we're tech savvy, have their offer on your device so you can do a DocuSign right away if you needed to. But I just find it's nicer to have them there because it doesn't matter. Your buyer might say, that's it, I'm not going a penny higher, and you talk to them in that moment and say, look, we're $2,000 away from getting this for you. I think that there's a good chance. But more importantly, you want it to be the buyer saying yes or no. Because you're representing the buyer. You never want that buyer to say, Bill lost that. You know, I would have paid $1,000 more had I been given a chance. So you're ensuring that you're going to have a chance by asking the seller, and if you're not able to represent or present your offer to the seller personally and their agent, say the same thing to the seller's agent. That if you've got something better, if you think that you're going to go with another offer, just give me a 15-minute irrevocable so I can sign it back and talk to them. And then you still have your other offers. You have nothing to lose by giving me that opportunity. So that's bring a bank draft with you. Do you guys bring your deposits with you?
Like a copy of the check.
Yeah, so I actually bring the bank draft, or I'll drop off the check ahead of time, and it's a bank draft, so it's not something that can be canceled. That's showing seriousness. So many times in our market, where the market was going a little crazy, people would get caught up in the moment. They've got 24 hours to bring in the check. The check doesn't appear. That entire process that I had for 1 week went down the drain because there was no money. There's no deal. We're not gonna, who are you gonna go after at that point? So when I have a bank draft, and we have taken offers that are less because A, they were unconditional, or B, because they had $100,000 bank draft sitting on the table. We knew that these people are not going to walk away from the deal, that they're going to go through closing. It's going to close because they've got a lot of money sitting on the table. So I always bring it back. Offer accuracy. Look at the listing, make sure it's accurate. So many times I have had to go with a different offer because it's said that, the chandeliers are excluded, the window coverings are excluded, the appliances are excluded, or something's excluded. Yet that agent still put in the listing, I want all of that. Now, instead of risking the negotiation and going back and doing a sign back and waiting 3 hours for them to get an initial on that change, we'll go with another offer. But that buyer and that agent basically did a mistrust of that buyer's confidence by bringing in an offer which was just not accurate. So accuracy is so important. Present respectfully and to the point. So many times, as agents come in and they're arrogant, they're cocky, and they just throw it on the table and they say, there's just no place for that in our industry, and we do see it a lot. And don't annoy the listing agent. I know that. Do you guys get these flowery letters from people saying, little Johnny? And I get pictures of ultrasound sometimes. This baby is going to be born in 3 weeks, and they want to be in this house. So I get all kinds of really interesting stuff. So, and it is annoying. And then you feel obligated to read it, and it just takes up time. So it's very annoying. Monetizing your license. So we're in an industry where it's not about just buying and selling and earning a commission. I talked about investing, creating investment groups. That's a huge way of monetizing your license, getting involved, participating in the investment yourself, providing or arranging financing. I don't know if this is something that you guys can do here or not, but we can loan money out and get interest on that and be involved in that. And it also secures that while you have a mortgage on a property, they're going to have to list with you as well. So you're securing yourself. So it's basically an upside all the way around. Property management, the properties that you're selling to your investors, manage them, charge a management fee. I don't do anything for free. There's value in what you're doing, make sure, but you got to show that you're actually performing the task that you're taking on and that you're earning your money as well. So property management is when you don't want people that are recommending you or referring to you. You want advocates. You want people to say, you should deal with only Faisal. He's the only person you should deal with because you've done so many good things for that client. And we're always looking for referrals and recommendations, whatnot. But if you could have a handful of advocates for you that are out there and advocating for you and saying, if you're buying, if you're selling, this is the only company you should use. These are the only agents that you should use. This is what's going to create a huge reciprocal business for you over time. Choosing your support staff. So I don't have a team. I'm an individual agent that has great support staff. Now, I have a referral network, and I'll get into that. Are there team members here or any teams in here? Yeah, team leaders? Any team leaders? Yeah, good, okay. So there's all kinds of different structures that are out there. Getting into assistants. Do we all have assistants in this room? Yeah. So that is such an important thing. I can tell you the first year that I got an assistant, my revenue went up by 100%. Because everything I was thinking, I was sending to an assistant, and that assistant was executing. Because we think about a lot of big things and a lot of great intent, but we don't execute on it. When you have an assistant, they're going to actually execute because that's what they're paid for. The personality needs to mimic you. They need to be who you are. They're only going to be as good as you. So when we say my assistant sucks, is because you suck. You aren't doing the things that you're supposed to be doing. You're not guiding them the proper way, and you're not setting their expectations. My assistants have a task list, regular task list, and at the end of the day, they send me a complete summary of those completed tasks. These are regular tasks. In addition to that, they're sending me a completion list of everything that I set for them. Now, it could be 2 in the morning and I'll have a thought. I email it to the office. I don't wake them up. But I email it to the office. So in the morning when they get in, they know what they've got to do. They know what they've got to complete, and they know they have to report back to me. So this is an important way of creating a good business model, and they're there to do the feedback, the follow-up. They're doing all of those things that you shouldn't be doing. If you're doing anything more than listing and selling and managing your business, you're doing too much. These are things that are not paying you. So you should be focused on ideas and branding and creating and building your business, not, oh, I got to enter all these contacts into my data, or I got to send these emails out, or I got to do whatever it is that we used to do. Building a referral network. So my system, and I'm just going to go over this very quickly. I don't have a team. Everybody's independent. Everybody runs their own business. They can have all the buses and billboards and whatever they want. But not everyone is in a position where they're busy all the time. So I have 6 agents that work for me on a referral basis only. I refer to them as needed, and they work on my listings. So I'll be carrying anywhere from 30 to 40 listings actively at all times. When a call comes in, someone wants to see that listing, boom, it goes off to my network. And they then show the listing. If they sell it, they get 50%, I get 50%. If they secure a seller from that, I get the full listing, they get a 25% referral. So I've created this entire system where I can have many different people working for me without me feeling obligated to feed them every day. They have their own business. If they want to sell to their best friend, they owe me nothing. But if I send them some business, they owe me half. So I've created this network, and I created this about 12 years ago. It is single-handedly the best way to create a huge listing inventory, a huge buyer inventory. Now I'm there. I'm overseeing every transaction. I'm there to support them. If they need me to meet on the first buyer's meeting, I'm there. We're there to give them that sort of feel good, but they know that they're going to be in good hands because they've been referred to somebody that's going to work in their best interest and have the time to work with them, because I know I won't. So having different characteristics, different languages spoken, depends on the community that you're in. We have a huge South Asian community. We have a huge Portuguese community, Italian community. So having people that are able to relate to those different cultures, languages, religions, is very important to have in your network diversity, because that helps you create a larger market. Turning points in life. For me, changing companies. I started with a small independent company, then I went to a company by the name of Realty World, which actually went down 5 years after I was there. REMAX was a name that I would have never thought of joining because it was intimidating, especially 30 years ago. There was desk fees and this and that. That's the industry makes us believe that those things are difficult to work in. But when you look at it, the name of a good company, a good brand will make you money, because you don't have to be the #1 agent if you're with the #1 brand. And that's always what I looked at 25, 26 years ago is, okay, I'm not the #1 agent, but I need to be with the #1 brand, because I keep losing business to the #1 brand. Every time I'm in for a CMA, somebody else is getting the listing because they were with REMAX. So if you can't beat them, join them, right? So company changes create an environment where you need to do something to get your name out there. So use those turning points to your advantage. Financial changes. When people are suffering financially in our industry, the tendency is to get out of the business. What they're not looking at is ways of enhancing their business. And that may be aligning yourself with a good company, with a good agent, asking for the business. So I love it when some young, hungry agent comes to me and says, look, I'm ready to work. I want to do this. I want to make a living here. I want to do what you're doing. I love that because you know that they're going to be motivated. They're going to be ambitious. They're going to work hard, and they're going to do all the things, and they're going to listen to what you're telling them to do in order to create that business. Life-changing events, divorces, separations, deaths. These are all, things that can actually break you, but you can also take those and turn that into a situation where you can put it back into your business and start creating a market for yourself and diverting your attention from those things. State of mind is a game changer. Hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle. And there's nothing closer to the truth than that. People say, well, you don't have an education, you don't have this, but if you've got the hustle, if you've got the mindset, if you're in do mode, and that's the thing. I'm 31 years in the business. There's still, every day I get up excited to be in this business. Every day I'm ambitious. I want to do more. And people say, well, you can basically retire now. Why are you doing all this? Because it's so much fun. Like, this is what we're useless doing anything else. This is all we know, right? So this is, overcoming rejection is so important, but facing it is also very important. Understanding why it's there, it's very important. There are going to be times where you get up in the morning and you're thinking, oh, this is just a crap day. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. We're in show business. Bottom line is we're in show business. You can't bring that to a listing. You can't bring that to a buyer. They want to see you upbeat, ready. And so, having the ability to change your state. And Tony Robbins, a lot of people know about Tony Robbins, of course. I'm a great follower of Tony. I'll tell you, like, the one thing, and a lot of his ideas are really out here, but the one thing that I got from attending his seminars and reading his books is the ability to change your state. Like, you've got to snap out of it because that's your livelihood. So bringing your bad day to a listing or to a buyer is not gonna. And having a ritual, like I have a couple of espressos before I go into a listing presentation. I pump up the music, have a little ritual, right? Like, get into it, get that, because when you walk in, you want them to see this energized, pumped, ready, excited person. It doesn't matter that the caffeine kicked in. They think you're excited about their home, and that's what you want, right? So mindset of an entrepreneur. Eat, live, sleep, breathe your passion. Work-life balance does not exist. So today's buzzword, millennials, any millennials in here? So I have a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old, and I have some nephews that are in their 20s. It's like, Uncle Faisal, you know what? Like, work-life balance, that's what it's all about. I'm like, listen, it's all work, no life, no balance. Like, if you want to be successful, that's what it is. Otherwise, you're going to be a loser. Right? Well, my 17-year-old son came up to me and goes, hey, Dad, these shoes, like these Nike Airs or whatever they were, they're on sale. They're only $250. I'm like, only $250? I said, you don't have a job, kid. You're a loser. Like, you want to spend $250? I said, look, you're not going to get these shoes because if I let you buy these shoes, it makes you a loser. So then you're going to go to school, you're going to meet a girl, and she's going to be a loser. And then you're going to marry this girl, and she's going to be your loser wife. And then you're going to have loser grandchildren, and I don't want loser kids, and I don't want to have loser grandchildren. So I'm not going to let you buy these shoes because you don't have a job yet. So when you have a job, you can go and buy these shoes. So the point being, we're in a society where people want instant gratification. They want it now. They haven't put in the time. I'm standing here 31 years of putting in the time. Yes, I have work-life balance now. Yes, I have the ability to do things I would never have imagined doing 30 years ago. But it's the hard work, it's the grind, it's the hustle. So, and as an entrepreneur, we wake up, and that's what we are. If you're in real estate, you're an entrepreneur. You wake up with fear. You don't want to lose. You don't want to lose what you've built. You don't want to give up what you've had. So it's the fear that keeps us going. And I'll be truthful. That's what keeps me going. Yes, I'm excited. I love this business, but there's also fear. I don't want to give it up. I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose what I've built. So I keep grinding. If it's not natural, if it doesn't feel right, do something else. So if like I said, to me, knocking on doors didn't feel right. Picking up the phone didn't feel right. These things just didn't feel right to me. Closing after every listing presentation does not feel right. So do what's natural. Don't use a script. Just be you. And I say this later on that, you don't fake it until you make it. You face it until you make it. You face who you are. You own who you are. And that's how you, because that's genuine, that comes across. Creating a FOMO environment. Does everybody know what FOMO means? Fear of missing out. So you want people to work with you because they fear that if they don't work with you, they're going to miss out. They're going to miss out on the opportunity to earn more money. They're going to miss out on the opportunity to sell their home for a higher price. And you can create that by showing them your successes, showing them what you're going to do, showing them your strategies. Creating a following, creating a situation where people want to engage with you. They want to be a part of your business, your life, your environment. Being approachable, being available, understanding your client, rewarding those who help you. My staff is some of the highest paid staff that's out there. Why? Because my Jennifer and Alicia, my two girls, some of them, well, Alicia's been with me for 11 years. Jennifer's been with me for 17 years. Why? Because I treat them well. I treat them like family. I pay them well. And by doing so, you're going to have their loyalties. Once you've chosen the right people, treat them well. Being a connector. That's, in our business, that's so important. Whether it's creating groups, creating contractors for sellers, buyers, being there not just for the sale, not just for the list, being a connector beyond that, and being humble, and just not sort of reading your own news clippings and pretending or being something you're not, or showing off and that type of thing. So 7 Strategies of Success, this was in the Above magazine, and this is basically a summary of what we've just talked about. Achieving more by doing less, have some assistance, have people that are going to help you do the things that are not monetizing what you're doing. Refuse to fall behind, stay up with technology, get on the social media game, wake up with a positive attitude, don't bring your baggage to work, leave that at home. Following the leader, then becoming the leader. So there's no reinventing the wheel. There's nothing that I've talked about today that I've created. I've just copied, but I've done it consistently, and I've executed it. Believe in what you're doing. Invest in your brand. That's the one thing that we have to invest in. We don't have to buy inventory. We need to invest in what we're doing, and that's your brand. And to be the best, you have to be with the best. So congratulations on being with REMAX, because you are with the best. And I'll open it up for any questions if you have any. Yes?
Question about your pricing strategy. Is this something that you used in down buyer markets as well?
Especially in down buyer markets. Just because you always have to have some sort of a click. Why would somebody look at that property? Why would somebody show that property? So in any market, and I've been doing that for 12, 15 years, now it's becoming very normal, but initially I was doing that 15 years ago.
I don't think I
Can you see the value in doing something like that?
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. And it's something that is not, it's not globally embraced, it's not even liked by most people until they understand it. But once you, and even now, there's a lot of people that say, oh, that, and I have agents that will say, I'm not going to even show your listing. That's fine, because when that's not the agent that you want showing your listing, because they're not going to bring you that offer. You want people with like minds that understand that, and they're telling their buyer that, look, this is still, as a buyer's agent, you need to show your buyers comps, and you need to show them that, okay, here's every other house is selling for $650. This guy's only asking $625, so it's a good deal. We should definitely make an offer on it. It makes the buyer's job easier, buyer's agent's job easier as well. You're saying, well, if you're going to make an offer, make it on this one first and see if you can get it. Yes.
What about your listing that doesn't sell? I'm sure you've had some.
Yes, many. Yeah. So, after I've increased the price. It's very rare, because when I increase the price, I go, and this is a conversation we've had when I listed the home originally. So we're listing at the price that the other homes are already selling at. So this strategy was just to be under that so that we could get above that.
Well, what if you increase from $625 to $650 and now you don't get any offers?
Well,
Months go by.
It's rare, to be honest with you. It's very rare that that would happen. But then you basically wait and you look at offers as they come in. We're in a market where we've been very lucky where it doesn't happen, where it just there's very low inventory, and it's been like that for years. And we're in an area where we are attracting people that are coming out of markets that are 35 to 40% higher. So everything looks like a deal. We have first-time home buyers, we have commuters, we have investors, we have people that are downsizing. We have such a vast amount of people that are looking to purchase properties in our region that it's so rare for someone not to be able to sell their property.
Are you lucky?
Yeah. But again, you've got to be sort of liquid on that and say, okay, well, whatever. You have to have a contingency, right? So it's just, and if it doesn't sell, then what are you going to do? You're going to reduce the price. But you've got to have the conversation with your seller and say, look, communication is key, right? You're giving the feedback. If everybody walking through and say, you're overpriced at $650, you're overpriced at $650, well, then you're overpriced at $650. Then you've got to reduce. But you as an agent should have the knowledge up front. There are market conditions that we can't control. Interest rates go up, massive job loss in one industry in your town. Those are things that are going to have a negative impact. So you have to basically shift your market. Yes?
With your social media marketing, it sounds like that's a huge component of what you do with your branding and your marketing. You touched upon a few of the providers, companies, and tools that you use. Can you go a little deeper into what you think the best providers and tools are?
So the platform?
Yeah, the platform.
So the number one platform is Facebook and Instagram. And they're basically associated with each other. They're owned by the same. So if you post something on Instagram, you can boost it on Instagram and Facebook. Now the formats are a little bit different, but it's the same platform, it's the same account, so you're not spending on two. LinkedIn, I use quite a bit for land, commercial, investor, that type of thing. I don't like to put and basically clog up people's LinkedIn with residential listings. Twitter, just a basically a quick tweet about the listing, that's great. I would say Facebook and Instagram are your number one. And for me, I'll get on average 12 to 15,000 views per listing. And then Google AdWords, of course, that's very important as well. The pay-per-click campaigns are excellent. Do them for a short time, but do them aggressively. So you set your budgets. And what happens with Facebook and Instagram, the more traction you start getting, your organic reach increases and your paid reach decreases. So where I was spending, say 5 years ago, I was spending $2,500 per month on my campaign. I'm probably down to $700 or $800 now because the organic has just taken off. But in order to gain organic reach and engagement, you've got to do more than just advertise your listings. Do contests. If you've got a sports team and you can get a couple of tickets, give those away. And follow me, tag a friend, comment. All these things create. Now, once they've done that, you're going to be on their feed organically because they've engaged with you. So that's the thing. It's like when you're Googling something, you want to buy a hot tub, all of a sudden tomorrow you're on Google and all these hot tub ads start popping up. That's exactly what we're doing. So we're basically pop-up ads as a result of someone clicking on you somewhere. So you want to be everywhere and touch a little bit on every platform you can. There are, like I showed you, hundreds of platforms on the screen. The four, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. Those are the main four, and then Google AdWords, of course. AdWorks, is that a big thing here? So AdWorks is great. It came into Canada about 3 years ago. I bought every postal code in Cambridge at the time. Now they've changed a little bit since then. They've allowed a lot of different, but I had exclusivity for a year. That was huge. It was on the Weather Channel, on every news channel, everything that was popping up, it was my ad. So if you can be, fairly quick off the gates and get exclusivity everywhere you can, that's important.
Have you used any of the predictive marketing platforms where they, track the user and what they're looking at on the online and whatnot?
Yeah, so that's the Google retarget.
Yeah, okay.
That's exactly that's everything that I'm doing on Google is that predictive marketing. It's the Google retarget marketing. So I'm popping. So if they punch in Cambridge or any of the keywords that are associated with my listings or my town, I'm going to pop up there. And that's what lead generation sites are doing, right? They're putting your name in their platforms so that if your name is Googled and they're actually just looking for your phone number, you get diverted to their website. Now they're going to get a referral out of you because they came through. So this is where you've got to be very careful on not getting onto too many of these lead gen sites, because you're going to lose that organic contact to you directly.
How do you feel about Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, you know?
Well, I think Zillow's model is flawed because of this whole iBuyer thing. I think their market value evaluation using the data is flawed. It's not, at least I don't see accuracy. Do you guys find that Zillow values are accurate? They're usually off by what, 10%? Right? High or low?
Either way.
Right. So this is it. And this is because you're taking subjectivity out of it. People don't buy homes objectively. They're subjective. It's an emotional purchase. So there is no way. And then, and this is where this whole iBuyer system is flawed as well, because there is no way to pinpoint the value. And when they send their representative to look at it through the iBuyer system, they're going to give you a list of things that need to be done, or X amount of percentage that needs to be deducted as a result of renovations that are needed. So I think that whole system is flawed. I unless you're extremely desperate, I can't see someone wanting to use that system. And if you can offer an alternative, like I offer 90, if I'm that confident, and I mentioned that in our city, it's very rare. My average is 13 days from list to sell. I offer every listing I take a 90-day sales guarantee program. If your home's not sold in 90 days, I will buy it. I did 36 of those guarantees last year. I bought one. So it does happen. But I bought one because I was helping that buyer out. Their closing was 30 days out, and they didn't want to lose the house. Now, did they tell 30 people? Of course they did. And all those 30 people want me to buy their house now. But it does happen. So it's just a situation where if you can do something extraordinary or create an alternative. So people will say to me, well, there's a guarantee here through Zillow or through iBuyer or whatever it is. If you can offer them the same type of situation at a better valuation and tell them that, look, I'm not interested in owning your home. I'll give you whatever guarantee you need in order to make this happen. But if we get more than what that guarantee is, you get that. With the iBuyer, they get that. So that's the difference. And that's where I think that most people today, they'll use those platforms to get an idea. And I find most of the people that have got those digital or online market evaluations, when I show up, they're pleasantly surprised with what they're hearing. And they want that touch and feel as opposed to dealing with cyberspace. Yes, Kate.
Do you have a follow-up program for sellers and buyers that you did work with, or are you just relying on that passive marketing to just stay?
No. So every holiday, they're getting a card from me. On the anniversary of their home, they're getting a lottery ticket, a scratch and win. Hope pays off your mortgage. So we're inputting all this information, right? Home shows in Canada. I don't know about here, but in Canada, REMAX does we could send out 5,000 home show tickets, and you only pay on those who actually attend, but you're sending out $25 worth of coupons to everybody. On average, it'll cost me maybe $3,000 or $4,000 in any given year, but you've sent out these tickets to thousands of people that are all talking about how nice this guy is for giving me these $50 in coupons, right? But you're only paying for what they use, and it's heavily discounted as well because REMAX sponsors a lot of the home shows. So when, again, I'm dating myself, Christmas time, every year at Christmas time, I would send out a CD that had all Christmas songs on it, and people would play it at Christmas dinner. And the cost was between $5 to $7 per CD. But I'll tell you, the engagement that I got and the feedback that I got from that one item was better than everything I did all year. And everyone played that music at Christmas dinner every year. Unfortunately, now it's all iPhones and iTunes and I this and I that. So that's gone. So we're doing gift cards now, which I don't get much feedback at all. Closing gifts. You guys do closing gifts? I don't. Zero. At all. Well, and here's why. Everybody is doing a housewarming present for that client on the day of closing, right? My lawyer, my accountant, my mortgage broker doesn't give me a closing gift ever. What I appreciate is the ongoing contact. So if you take the budget of a closing gift, say $100 or $200, and you take that same budget and spread it out throughout the next 5 years, the amount of contact and engagement that you're going to have with that client, they're not going to remember that fruit basket or that bowl that you sent them on the day of closing. But they're going to remember that every anniversary of my home, every holiday, every year, this guy's sending me something. And keeping in touch. A lot of times people will send, and I hear this amount, they'll send a $500 closing gift to a client, but not keep in touch with them ever again. And then their heart is broken in 3 years when I get the listing. So this is the problem, that you're not keeping in touch. So there's nothing other than the passive marketing. That's top of mind recall. You need to be synonymous and you need to be associated with your industry, and the only way to do that is be in their face without knocking on their doors and making phone calls, and that's what works. Did I answer your question? Yes.
So you have 2 assistants?
I actually have 3. So one is just complete data entry. Alicia does all of my listing presentation preparation, all the feedback, all the follow-up. Jennifer does everything else, basically running my business, property management, administration, deal processing, all of that stuff she does.
That was kind of my question of divvying up those tasks. I think some of it is transactional.
It is.
Related, and then
Yes.
some of it's the marketing and the more
Yeah.
creative, so just how you divide it.
Yeah.
So.
And it's different personalities that you need for that. There's a certain personality that I would never want to be on the phone with my clients, because they're just good at paperwork and very mechanical. And others, like my one assistant, Alicia, it's like she dates every client I have. I mean, male or female, and she's not actually dating, but she's so friendly. They're texting her on the weekend, they're inviting her over for dinner or whatever. Like, it's just, she's that good with that client that she becomes part of their day-to-day life, and they talk about everything, which is something I have no time or desire to do, but she does that for me. So it overall keeps me and my clients very happy because they feel they're still engaged.
Any hiring tips in regard to you might be using as your referral network or your support staff?
So we're in an industry where there's so many different people. So I mentioned diversity, different characteristics. Look, like, I want people that are enthusiastic and they're excited and they're ambitious and they're hungry. Like, they've got to be hungry. I've had people come in and say, well, okay, so I take Wednesday to Sunday off. I do this, I do that. Well, those are not the people that I want. I want people that are going to be working all the time. But also, I mentioned languages, different cultures. So this way I can sort of traffic control who gets who, so they're relatable. Because that's the main thing in our industry, is if you can't relate to that buyer or seller, then you're going to have a hard time retaining them.
Any other questions? Have you thought about teaming up with someone? Like a partner?
So, no, I've never thought about teaming up with a partner. I had originally thought of having a team. What ended up happening is when I started speaking to team members, I heard the complaints. I don't get the leads. I don't think I'm being dealt with fairly. So-and-so is their favorite. And what happens is that team member always felt that they were in the shadow. They always felt that they didn't have a presence and they weren't able to build their business. So the model that I've created, it allows me to help them finance their business and get to a point where they don't need me anymore. My rule is if I send you a lead, you have 20 minutes to respond. If you don't respond that 20 minutes, it goes to the next person in my network. You're not obligated to take my lead, just as I'm not obligated to give you that lead. And I'm not paying for your desk fees or your shared variables or your expenses at all. You're paying your own. Any leads that you generate are yours. So what that does, it doesn't, there's no onus on me to keep feeding somebody if they're not performing. Because every time you have a team member, I find, and I see in my industry, in my office, there's a lot of bad feelings running around, and I didn't want that. So I didn't find the need to partner up because I found a way to refer. And there's an expectation. I have an entire contract on this, what my expectations are, what my response time is, and I just want to hear from that team or that network person once a week. I need a report from them on all the leads that I sent, and my staff holds a record of all the leads that are being sent out. Everything is documented so that we can follow up on that. And I don't restrict the network from being in touch with the buyer because I had no contact with that buyer. So the listings I only handle myself. No one ever gets my listings. I only handle those. The showings, that's where the buyer's rep. But I let that buyer's rep stay in constant touch with that buyer because at some point that will become a seller, and they didn't really have any interaction with me. And then there's a flip side of that where they'll get a percentage of the listing again. So it just keeps basically building up on that. And at any time they wish to go out on their own or they're doing enough business where they don't need me, then it's amicable because there was never an expectation that they're part of my team.
Any other questions? Great, well, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.